Good morning, Cowboy Jim here up in Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada. And just looking at myself here, I'm a little worse for the wear. And I did my regular 7 days, and then I did 4 days of overtime, giving me 11 straight uh, hard working days, and I contemplate when I'm driving truck. Well, many things, but I guess the priority has to be safety and amenability. Uh, uh, Making sure that I'm malleable enough, uh, moldable enough that I can learn and look at the efficiency of what I do for the overall good of the company that I work for. And you might think that's a drivel. It's not. It's the only way that I know how to honor my creator, and that is to be on uh, an agenda, a game plan to become better at what I do. And I run truck, haul truck, and I I force myself, and it's a challenge. I force myself to enjoy it, and because without which um, I would not be as good a truck driver as I would hope to be. And I spent 11 days, uh, 12-hour shifts. Actually, it's 11 and a half hours a day. And I compelled myself to take a level of joy, pleasure in that work. It was a challenge, let me tell you. Anyways, it's done. I did my best that I could possibly have done with my ability to run a load down the haul roads in the mine. Anyways, part of the endeavor uh, was to pull in and have Cal Tire. This is a little free advertising, good advertising, and have them check the tires, the air pressure on this old truck that I was running, and and I mean running like as hard as she could go, and as safe as I could make her go. And I, I I am the only person in Fort Mac, except for a couple that I have seen in the last few years, who wear a hat such as I do. And and I saw, I'm pretty sure I saw a guy tearing down the road with his cowboy hat on. And when I pulled up to the person who was supposed to be checking my tire pressure and the condition of my tires, I, I of course had my hat on. But when you get out of the stupid truck, it's kind of like getting into the shower. Yeah, I have to take my hat off. It's unfortunate, but it's just a fact. And so I put my helmet on, not of salvation. I never take that off, but my construction type helmet that you're supposed to wear in the mine. And I climbed down from the truck and said hello to a Dutchman, a pleasant character. And turns out he was an MMA fighter in training. Until the training got so expensive, he decided he couldn't afford to continue training as a fighter. And the only way you're ever going to get on television with MMA is if you do all their courses, one of which cost $10,000 and out of his pocket, and he just couldn't afford that. But anyways, I was talking to him, and he said, I said, you watch my YouTube channel? He said, no. I said, well, it's called Cowboy Jim. He said, the guys at work, they talk about an old retired rancher who goes by the name of Cowboy Jim. And he has hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube. And I started to smile, eh? And he said, who is Cowboy Jim? I said, well, it's me. He said, you're kidding. I said, no, I'm Cowboy Jim. The most beautiful woman in the world that I ever met gave me that name. And so I even have it on my license plate. Anyways, uh, won't get bogged down in that soft ground. And so he and I talked quite a bit. And we had an awful lot in common. And of course, I had to tell him the story of my son's miracle. And that's what I do. And I do that sort of stuff to encourage people, to build them up, to uh, bring a smile to their faces if it's possible. And he and I, we walked around. He told me about what he was looking for in the tires and so on, like that. And we just had a pleasant talk. And I would like to say to Cal Tire, um, I have not met very many of your employees, but this Dutch guy, man, you've got something in him. Respectful, curious, interesting to talk to, and a pleasure to be around. And most Dutch people that I know are farmers who sold their land in Holland and took their dollar from there and brought it over to Canada. And in Canada, their dollar, their euro, is worth a lot of money, and so on like that. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to say that there's something else I wanted to say too, and I'm going to blend two subject matters: Cal Tire, the Dutchman. Uh, he and I had a lot in common. Uh, his fighting experience was different than mine. Mine was that gentle art of judo. And I had an instructor, and he said, Jim, you're going to die. I was 14. He said, you're going to die real soon if we don't do something to help you. And so he taught me how to um, defend myself um, aggressively. And he taught me what to do with my hands and how to um, how to send someone to the promised land if it were necessary. And so I've learned that, and thank God I've never um, had to defend myself in that sort of manner. But the other thing I wanted to mention was in the mine. I had not worked in this particular mine. Um, I don't think it is wrong if I say which mine, but nowadays it's called Aurora, and I'll just barge through as I do. And in the morning, like I moved mines last October, November, and I'd gone to a southern mine in the north and ran little dozer. 2 days on a wiggle wagon was terrible, but I had run an 870 Hitachi hoe for most of the winter. I love that. Anyways, I went back and I study other drivers. It's called being 360 degree aware. And I mean, I study every person operating any piece of equipment uh, because I wish to learn. And uh, I was watching the truck driver come towards me in a big 797 haul truck. They carry there are two types. One carries 465 tons of ore or waste or whatever. The other carries 435 tons before they overload. And and the guy waved at me, and I thought. Um, Technically, it's been 6 months or more since I was in this mine, and this guy uh, waved, and because he remembered me. Now, granted, I don't blend in that well. Got fired from Heartland TV show because director said, "Hey, you don't blend in, don't come back." I told him I'd done everything I could to blend in. He said, "You failed." He said, "Jim, don't come back." And rejection is really a bummer, especially when you are an aspiring actor. So I waved back at that guy, and then I woke up to the idea that I was going to have to wave all blessed day because truck driver after truck driver, some put their windows down and waved, stuck their arms out, waved, and I thought, I cannot disappear into into that private world of being myself when I have gone to so much effort over the years to make sure that people know that I care for them. So to each truck driver, um, and there are a lot of companies represented here, and I'll just mention some of them: Suncor, Syncrude, Clearstream, North American group of companies, construction group of companies, uh, Fort Mackay, the company that I work for, Negan Tuckaroo, and there were hundreds of people who waved at me during the last day, which was my fourth day of overtime. Um, and I was humbled because I set out many, many years ago at a place called McClellan Lodge in Fort Hills. And I set out to make sure there was not one person who came near me that I did not make sure that they knew that I cared for them. They knew that because I said hello, or I nodded, or I waved. And that's what I have done. I have chosen to care for people whom I don't even know, but whom Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, suffered, bled, and died for all of us if we so choose to ask God to forgive us. And I'm no preacher. I'm just a retired rancher and rugged, but I have a very large heart, and I have studied my life in the hope that I may learn how to live it better and how to avoid replicating the mistakes I've made, and trying diligently to honor our Creator, and in turn honor those whom I work with. And this group of people that wave their buns off all day, I I thank you all. I am honored. I am totally honored. I remember driving up onto a dump site about 8, 9 months ago, and I didn't quite know where to dump my load. And so I asked on the radio, I said, "Hey, any of you guys know where I can dump my load?" And one guy came on the radio immediately. He said, "Cowboy Jim, is that you?" I, I did this double take. I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Cowboy Jim, my wife and I the other night sat around and had a couple of beer, and we watched your YouTube channel." He said, "I want you to know I really enjoyed it." I said, "Thank you so much." He said, "Jim, I'll ask the guy on the D11 where you can dump." Guy on the D11, he came right on the radio. He said, "Cowboy Jim," he said, "you just hold up a minute. I'll move my dozer. It's about the size of a small house." And he said, "You just come dump to me." And I thought, these companies in the north, we have one purpose, and that is we're cleaning up the world's greatest, largest natural oil spill. It's natural oil that emanates from the riverbanks, and you can see when the sun heats the riverbanks up, the oil pours out of the sand right into the river. And you can see an oil slick going down the Athabasca, but it's not our fault. It is the way God put this natural, wonderful resource uh, called oil in sand, and it's a joy to know that we're doing something in that mine. And I love Base Mine. There's one road we go down. It's called Buffalo Road. And when you look to the left, if you're headed in the one direction, you'll see a whole herd of buffalo living right in the middle of the mine where the ground has been reclaimed. Because these people, KRA, we get a bad rap, and the reason we do is liberalism being what it is. They love the money that we send to Ottawa, but they don't like how we make this money. But they want the money and they want to control it. There's an election coming up pretty soon. You might well be advised to remember a scriptural concept. It is this: you have the quality of government you deserve because you will not do anything about it. That means vote. Vote. Okay, I could carry on for about 2 days on that subject, but we won't. God bless you. I hope you understand that you are making memories for someone, and everything you do it in honor of God. Do it in honor of the people you work with. I hope you work in a mine where the people just appreciate the fact that you're there. And my arm got about wore out waving at everybody, but it was a pleasure. So God bless you. God keep you. Humble yourself and pray. God will honor you. God does love you. He'll care for you. When there's no one else in the world who may even know who you are, God knows who you are. He knows what you've done. He knows that all that you must needs do is say, "God, forgive me. I accept that Jesus Christ is your Son, that he suffered, bled, and died on the cross for my sins. I am sorry. Help me to be what you want me to be. There's nothing in this world that you have ever done, could ever do, that will surprise God, because he knows everything about you. I mean, dear Lord, he made you. It's your choice, you believe it or not. And he will judge you for nothing at all that you have ever done, except this one thing. What have you chosen to do with the Son of the living God, Jesus, who took your place for your sins, that you might have life? Well, God bless you. This is a bit longer than I like to have them, but subject matter was good. God bless you. Don't you be afraid to wave at each other. God bless.